What's up, everybody? I got Dylan Rich here. He's running a $41,000 per month agency right now. You've been in client Ascension for like 7 months now. So I kind of
Yeah.
want to do this interview. Just introduce yourself to everyone, what you do, and how things are going.
Yeah. Thank you, Daniel. So my name is Dylan Rich. So essentially we help SaaS and software companies build predictable sales systems with the use of cold email, implementing cold calling, LinkedIn strategies, essentially a business development team in a box for your smaller and mid-level SaaS companies.
And you make some like custom platforms and do some pretty cool stuff. You're basically just placing SDRs into people's businesses, right?
That we create the playbook, we write the scripts, we find all the contacts, create the systems, integrate it with your CRM, pretty much everything top to bottom.
Dope. So just like sales systems in a box. So
Yeah.
when did you start this business? Like what's happened in the last 7 months, and kind of like take us through kind of the journey, I guess, in the last 7 months, like what has occurred here?
Yeah. So, I mean, I used to work a 9 to 5 on the sales side of things and just understood that my knowledge and skill set could be, more fruitful from a revenue perspective if I kind of did it myself. I knew the pain points of the market. And then I quit my job in December of last year. I've been going full time since then. So it's like almost coming up on a year, which is pretty crazy. But the biggest thing that's kind of, attributed to the increase in revenue is just providing more value, right? Listening to the clients that we had on just cold email and cold LinkedIn. And everyone was like, hey, do you guys do cold calling? Do you have a cold caller? It kept coming up, right? So listen to the market. We created a separate company that does SDR training and placements. So we find people, we teach them sales, and then we connect them with our clients. So everyone wins. So we're helping the companies as well as people looking to, make money remotely.
Yeah, and you're the cold calling guy.
Yeah, I used to make like 250 dials a day for like over a year. So I've put in the reps and understand what works, doesn't work. It's a lot of mindset. Like we teach a lot of mindset stuff because it is a grind. Definitely is a grind.
Now, if someone comes in and they just say, "Hey, Dylan, I want a cold caller in my business?" You can just place a cold caller in their business and like do the training for them.
Yeah. So we do it 2 ways, right? Just a strict placement with a guarantee. And then we also can do like an outsourced SDR model where we essentially retain the SDR. We write the scripts, we manage them, call recordings, and all they get is the meetings on the calendar. So you can be, have someone internally, or we can handle it outsourced depending on what the client wants.
Yeah. So it's exactly like a lead generation agency, but it's just using a different mechanism. Like a lot of people will start like a cold email agency or something like that. And as more and more people get into that and more people sell business opportunity courses, make a lead gen agency, you kind of have to stay ahead of the game and do the hard thing that people don't particularly want to partake in. Because there's not a lot of people on earth who are doing cold calling or training cold callers or even know how to do cold calling correctly. So
like if you read predictable revenue, right? Like everyone knows that you need it, but it's like the hardest thing to hire for, find the right person, manage that person's expectations, and actually scale it out.
And have them actually perform and stay inside of the company and not churn within 2 weeks because they don't like it.
Yeah, the half-life on like an SDR is like 6 to 7 months. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. And you're the cold calling coach in Client Ascension now. We're doing cold calls in there.
Yeah. I mean, it's the most effective way to reach the person that you want to sell your product or service to because, in a live conversation, you can overcome those objections that you may have never even understood was an objection with a cold email because they'll just read it, have the objection, and then just say, no, not interested, or remove from your list. Or a call, you can actually navigate a conversation and, get them to a meeting at a higher percentage.
So when you quit your job, did you think you'd be able to hit 41K a month in 7 months? Like, is that something you thought would happen? Do you think it'd take a little longer?
I definitely just believed in doing, consistent things on a daily basis, and then it would just work out, right? Like I didn't have so much a number in mind. It was just like, I'm going to put my head down every day and, chop the wood. And over time, whether that was 7 months, a year, 2 years, I didn't really care. I just knew that if you're just consistent and disciplined and kind of detaching from like that instant gratification, like, I didn't do this and this, and then get discouraged. Just like, don't even care about it. Don't even think too much.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Did you find yourself when you started hitting a wall? Like if you like 10K or 20K a month, where you had to like switch things up and kind of design the business differently to hit a higher number?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, you can kind of, it depends on a couple of things, right? Like either your offer is not scalable from like a fulfillment perspective, where you're just doing too much for too low of a price point, which I think a lot of people who are getting now, charge too less for what they're actually bringing to the market. So understanding your worth definitely helps in getting through those, right? If you charge $750 a month, you could have a lot of closed deals and be really busy, and you're just not making enough money. So, understanding and pivoting quickly and not falling in love with one specific thing definitely helps you kind of get over those barriers, as well as like, as a sales, you get to 10K, pretty simple, but then going from 10 to 25 and then 25 to now 50, which is where on the market is like different things you got to focus on, like fulfillment, systems, hiring the right people, and retaining clients is like the biggest thing there. That's the biggest thing that people forget is like
there's some math done by Hermosi explaining churn and retention and how it is the number one thing that stops people from scaling, because they'll sign a client, they do a really bad job, and then they churn. You can't scale if everyone is churning. It's too hard. It's way too hard. Because the velocity of if you want to scale the business, the velocity with which you need to acquire new people also needs to accelerate if everybody is churning, which is just an absolute pain in the ass.
Exactly. It's like decorating a house that's on fire.
That makes a lot of sense. Yo, if you are running an agency and you are currently at $5,000 to $10,000 per month and you want help scaling to $500,000 to $1 million per year, click on the link below, clientascension.com. If you want help with getting clients with cold email, building sales systems, managing a sales team, hiring and operationalizing your business, and if you want to be in a community of over 140 other agency owners who are like you, a lot of which are doing over $100,000 per month right now. That link is clientascension.com. But let's get back to the video now. I find it's really interesting if someone is selling like $2,000, $3,000 a month kind of stuff, and maybe they have a high churn rate, average client stays for like 3 months. Yeah, you have a nice LTV, but if you're trying to do $100,000 a month, you need to be selling like 5 to 10K type stuff. It's too difficult to scale when the thing you're selling is so little money. Yeah. And now you get into the question of how do you sell more expensive things, which ties back into doing the hard thing. And in your particular in your particular situation, it's cold calling and doing the things that nobody else does. And I was thinking about this a lot the other day, of how people they'll get like a business opportunity course, like some kind of like, oh, do Amazon FBA or make a cold email lead gen agency, and there's so many other people doing it, and it's not unique. Yeah, and you need to have something where it's so forceful, and you're like, oh, that's like, you see it, you see the offer, and you're like, yo, that's really really interesting, and a good phenomenal example of that is, hey, we'll place a cold caller inside your business. It goes back to like market sophistication levels. Like, for instance, everyone's selling short form videos right now. Like, hey, we'll make you short form videos. That's the easiest thing to sell of all time right now, because it's so new and no one else sells it. And they have about like 10 months left until that starts getting more competitive.
Yeah, and the people that will stay around will be people who actually understand the half-life and pivot and understand like what their clients are actually wanting, because short form video is just one piece of the puzzle from a content perspective. So like, that's kind of with us, right? Like, we saw like the people we were talking to 5 other people, and I knew 2 of them, right? And it's like, all right, like, it's just going to be the race to the bottom on price, because all the technology is kind of the same, right? So, what are we actually doing to stay ahead of the curve and offer services that other people just can't replicate overnight? Which is kind of where we pivoted to.
Yeah. So Tell me about how you acquired all of these clients. Were they all through outbound, or did you get a lot of them from Twitter or LinkedIn? Like, where's the lead flow coming from, and how do you execute your acquisition, like your full system of it?
Yeah. So we kind of get high for our own supply, right? So like the same systems that we sell and implement for clients, we use internally, right? Making cold calls, booking it the old fashioned way, kind of practice what we preach. And the beautiful thing about that offer is that like when you get on the phone to somebody that you booked through a cold call to sell them cold call services, they know it works, right? Because they're on the actual phone with you. So it's, it kind of sells itself because a lot of these people are like, oh, I never ever book from cold calls. How do I know this works? I'm like, well, you just told me it works because the same people that we can train and hire within your company are the same people that we hire and train for our own company, right? So that's probably the biggest version. And then Twitter definitely helps, building a personal brand credibility on Twitter as well as LinkedIn. Just having that as not only like your inbound lead, but as well if someone, looks you up, then they can see your tweets, they can see your content and be like, all right, this guy actually knows what he's talking about. Here's some client results. And just having that as like credibility, right? Not just a testimonial, but actually them knowing that you know what you're talking about. And then referrals, definitely been a big part, making partnerships, connections, with everyone that you talk to, because they might not be someone who needs cold calling, but they definitely know someone else that does. So just making the most of every conversation that I have.
Yeah, I feel like, and I've sent you referrals too because it's just a good service. This makes a lot of sense. How far do you think you can take this business as your current skill level stands? Are you at the position where it's like, because you're at 41K a month, do you feel as if the way everything is designed right now, like your operational ability at this moment could take you to some amount? Like, do you think it's just inevitable you're going to get to 100K a month right now, or do you think you need to do some like shifts to get there?
No, I mean, it really just comes down to like fulfillment, right? Like our energy and focus from a marketing perspective is not so much on new clients, right? Because if we get a bunch of new clients but don't have, quality SDRs and appointment setters to fulfill, then it kind of, topples and falls on top of each other. So our big focus is like finding the correct person, being able to train them, and then be able to place them with clients. So it's like, it's definitely a kind of like a delicate balancing act, kind of how it's positioned, right? Because you could sell it. Everyone wants a cold caller, but then you got to make sure that you deliver on your results, right? So we're really focused on building up the course, and building up our network of appointment setters and SDR individuals. And then once we have, a large enough pool, then we can really go at it. So it kind of comes in seasons. We'll get a bunch of clients, we'll fulfill on them, and then we got to refulfill the pipeline to be able to fulfill on clients. But
I like services where you can. I like operating, and I like businesses that operate in two different, basically entirely separate realms. Either you're selling to businesses and it's very expensive, or you're selling like a business opportunity to mass market. And I feel like those are the two best things. It makes a lot of sense to do that. But the problem with the biz op thing is people don't understand. If you're running some business and you start telling people, hey, here's how I do this. I want to show you how to find the clients, what to say, how to charge them, how to do the service execution. Congratulations, your business is going to get diluted. And people don't understand the force that can be applied when you have just like, when you sell like a business op to like 500 or 1,000 people or something like that, like you are screwed. That's so many people that you just had replicate exactly what you're doing. A really long time ago, I had a course that would teach people how to make a cold email agency. And then people were like, yo, this is getting harder. It's getting harder. So I was like, all right, stop selling the course. Just said, nope, can't do it anymore. So now people come in and they do the same thing. And it's, oh, I'm going to sell it. I'm like, all right, congratulations. It's probably already diluted again. And now you get into this arena of business where the only way to win is they have sophisticated the market up to level 5. You know Eugene Schwartz's book, Breakthrough Advertising, talks about market sophistication levels. The only way to win is by having so much brand awareness and having an absurd amount of content online. Like you have Twitter, you have a LinkedIn, you have YouTube videos, you've been doing it for a long time. Like you are the guy who does this. The word is associated with you. And it's kind of like that with Cold Email, me and Cold Email Wizard. Like it's been around for so long and it has so many followers and so much content. It's like one of the highest selling courses on Gumroad of all time. So there's that authority associated with it. So
and that's allowed you to do a lot of other things because the trust and credibility. That's the beautiful thing about it.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's people underestimate this. Like you need to have a personal brand to be making content on the internet. And I think the reason why people don't do it is because they're uncertain about themselves of whether they will be doing that business in like 2 or 3 months. So they just don't do it. And they refuse to fully encapsulate themselves 100% all in. They don't want to.
And it's ironic.
Content.
It's ironic because if you're just doing it, you can pivot because you're building a group of people who trust what you say. Mm-hmm. So if you change what you're saying, you still have that trust and credibility. So it's like, there's really no downside to doing it. It's definitely a grind, right? Like it does take daily time, energy, focus, creativity to do so. But as long as you just do something, right? Like put a 10-word tweet out, it's better than not tweeting at all that day. So yeah, I agree.
So if someone is they're running an agency or a B2B business right now, say they're at like 5K a month and they want to get to 41K like you, do you have any pieces of advice that you would give them? Like you should very much focus on this. What would you tell them?
Yeah. So like narrowing your focus, like super narrow, right? Like that was a problem of ours. Like we try to conquer the world. We would take in clients because they were interested in working with us, where the focus switched that we wanted to work with them, right? Just because someone wants to work with you doesn't mean that you should take them on as a client. It's going to suck on your resources. It's going to dilute your time, your energy. So really niche down, understand that let's figure one thing out and like master that. Because instead of being okay at like 3 industries, like real estate, SaaS, and coaching businesses, like crush one and it becomes way easier on a fulfillment perspective. So if you're at 5K, you're probably not niche down, right? You're just getting started and just focus, do 3 to 4 months of just one thing. If it doesn't work after that, then yeah, pivot, right? But actually take the time and be disciplined to do one thing. And then actually just focus on like things that you can control on a day-to-day basis. Like if you watch this video at 5K and you think 41K is like, insane, right? It's not. Like just understand and break it down. Like, what do I have to do in a month? All right. Now what do I have to do in a week? All right. Now what do I have to do on a day-to-day basis? And then just focus on what you can do on a day-to-day basis. And it becomes much easier to control. You feel better because you're actually, accomplishing things on a day-to-day basis. You're gaining momentum, you're gaining traction, and detach from that outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Focusing on the inputs and not
the outputs.
Yeah. So how did we, because you're in Client Ascension, you've been here for 7 months. Are there any specific things that we helped you in Client Ascension with? Like how has your experience been inside of it so far?
I mean, it's been great. I mean, I'm on phones with you. I'm on phones with Andre, the whole team. Like, your bonds with people who know more than you. And the reason why you're probably in Client Ascension anyway is because we've seen you on Twitter, all the coaches, and like respect their opinions and wanted to have calls with them, right? And you just can't do that. So Client Ascension gives you kind of that vacuum, right? Where you're able to have close proximity to smart people in all different areas and important parts of a business. Like, yeah, you can handle lead gen if you buy a course, but then you're going to have to do another course on operations and another course on copywriting, and another course on content, where you could just join Client Ascension and you kind of get everything and have all your bases met. Getting direct feedback also in like a one-on-one in a personal space where you respect the feedback that you're getting. Plus I just built like long lasting friendships. Like, I meet up with you guys now, we go golf and we can, we text, we shoot the shit, we know things about our personal lives, and it's just great great environment for sure.
Yeah, it's super. It's really fun. It's like a lot of camaraderie in there.
Yeah. The wins channel is always popping off. You can't really be down about shit on a day-to-day basis. You just hop in there and like what am I in a bad mood about today? Like this guy just closed $10,000 deal.
There's like, I think there's like 12 people above 100K a month in there or something like that.
Yeah. Now you can just shoot them a DM and actually understand and learn from them, because the only way to get to where you want to go is to talk to people who have already been there. So
I think 50% of people in there are now above 30K a month. I'm pretty sure. Something like that. It's a lot. But,
they're well on their way.
Yeah, event's going to be fun, so we're going to have a good time at that. But it's great. So where do you think you're going to be in like 6 months from now? What if you had to estimate your revenue? Like, where do you think you're going to be?
Yeah, so we're trying to do about 15K new on a month-to-month basis. So that'd be what? I'm terrible at math there. 15 times 6 is another 90. So yeah, trying to get to around that $150,000 mark. And it's doing the same things that got us here, just compounded over time. So we're not going to switch the offer. It's going to stay focused, and we're just going to continue to iterate and become better at it, and do it on a faster timetable to get ROI.
That's what people need to hear, is you just do one thing and you become the guy who does the one. You permanently associate something with your name. Like you permanently associate cold calling with you. I permanently associate cold email with me. I think of like Kaval on Twitter. I permanently associate SEO with him. Like I just know that. Like it's just, that's the guy for it, and that's what you need to become. People are too scared to do that with themselves. They don't want to like waste effort, but that is what is necessary, and that is what stops people from breaking past like 5 or 10. Like you will not get past 5 or 10 without doing really high leverage activities. Cool, you can send some cold emails, you can do some cold calls, you can hire someone to do some cold calls. But if you are not fully 100%, I am entrenched in this, I'm doing this, you won't go past it. You need to be willing to do everything.
You gotta be willing to suck at it for a while.
For a long time.
Like when I first started out, like I got clients because I know how to sell, but there's like literally a whole nother flip side of that coin of actually building what you sold. So yeah, I mean, it's just continually doing it every single day and being relentless in your pursuit.
Yeah. All right, brother. Well, thank you for coming on. I'm going to link your stuff below in the description. Everybody, if you want to link with Dylan, all of his stuff will be down below. You can click on that. If you want to join Client Ascension, that'll be there too. And you can hang out with me and Dylan on some calls. But thanks, brother. I appreciate you.
Man. You as well. We'll talk soon.
All right, I hope you liked that video, but I am going to link something right here if you want to continue watching and get some more value. I made a full course on how to get clients, how to grow followers on Twitter. This is a full 1, 2, 3, 4, do exactly what I say video. I'm going to link it right here, either this side or this side. I don't know exactly where, but go watch that. It's a full guide. Treat it like a course. Add it to your watch later. If you got some value from this video, please throw me a like and subscribe and comment whatever on there. But thank you guys for watching, and click that one right there. Go to the next one.